Erev Tov Rabotai, we are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Yoma. We're up to Perek Daled, Mishnah Daled. Today's Mishnayot should be Le'ilui Nishmat, Neria ben Svetlana Aranbayev, and Eliyahu ben Burcha Israelov, Menuchatam beGan Eden, Amen. Ketoret was burned every day on the inner golden altar, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. On Yom Kippur, there was an additional offering of Ketoret, which took place inside the Kodesh HaKodeshim, the Holy of Holies. The Mishnah begins by listing differences between the three Ketoret offerings that the Kohen Gadol brought on Yom Kippur, twice on the inner altar and once in the Holy of Holies, and the twice daily Ketoret offering that were brought every other day of the year. The Mishnah begins, Bechol Yom haya choteh b'shel kesef u'me'areh betoch shel zahav. Every other day of the year, a Kohen scooped up coals from the outer altar with a shovel of silver, and he poured them into a shovel of gold, which he carried into the sanctuary. A shovel that is used to scoop up coals becomes damaged easily. They therefore used a silver shovel, which is less expensive, to replace than a gold one, because the Torah requires the authorities to be careful about spending the money of the Jewish people. Vayom choteh b'shel zahav uva haya machnis. But on this day, Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol scooped up the coals with a shovel of gold, and with the same shovel he brought them inside the sanctuary. The Kohen Gadol scooped up the coals with a shovel of gold to spare him from the effort of pouring the coals into another shovel. Care was taken to protect the Kohen Gadol from becoming exhausted in Yom Kippur. This reason also applied to the twice daily offerings of Ketoret that were brought in Yom Kippur, since they too were offered by the Kohen Gadol. Therefore, a single gold shovel was used for them as well. The next three differences listed by the Mishnah were also intended to reduce the exertion of the Kohen Gadol Yom Kippur, so they likewise applied to all three Ketoret offerings he brought that day. Bechol Yom choteh b'shel arbaat kabin u'mareh betoch shel shloshet kabin. Every other day of the year, the Kohen scooped up the coals with a shovel that had a volume of 4 kavs. A kav is a measure of volume equivalent to 24 eggs. And he poured them into a shovel of 3 kavs, which he carried into the sanctuary. Now, only 3 kavs of coals were needed to burn the Ketoret. The first shovel contained a larger amount, 4 kavs, to ensure that the second smaller shovel, which is carried into the sanctuary, would be overflowing so as to give honor to heaven. As the Rav explains his commentary, Mishnayot Tamid, chapter 5, Mishnah 5. Vayom choteh b'shel shloshet kabin uvam haya machnis. But on this day, the Kohen Gadol scooped up the coals with a shovel of 3 kavs, and with the same shovel he brought them inside the sanctuary. Rabbi Yossi says, Bechol yom choteh b'shel se'ah u'mareh betoch shel shloshet kabin. Every other day of the year, the Kohen scooped up the coals with a shovel that had a volume of a se'ah, which is 6 kavs, and he poured them into a shovel of 3 kavs. Vayom choteh b'shel shloshet kabin uva haya machnis. But on this day, the Kohen Gadol scooped up the coals with a shovel of 3 kavs, and with the same shovel he brought them inside. So it's machloket in the Tanaim. The Tana Kama says every other day of the year, the Kohen scooped up the coals with a shovel that had a volume of 4 kavs and poured them into a shovel of 3 kavs. Whereas Rabbi Yossi says every other day of the year, the Kohen scooped up the coals with a shovel that had a volume of 6 kavs and poured them into a shovel of 3 kavs. Machloket how it was done every other day of the year. The first time it continues, Bechol Yom hayta chiveda. Every other day of the year, the shovel was heavy, its sides were thick. A thick shovel is preferable because it lasts longer. Vayom kalab. This day was light to spare the Kohen Gadol from exerting himself, as Rashi explains. Bechol Yom hayta yada ktsara. Every other day of the year, the shovel's handle was short. Vayom aruka. But on this day, the handle was long, so the Kohen Gadol could use his arm to support it. Now the Kohen Gadol tucked the end of the handle under his armpit and let the rest of the handle rest on his arm. In this way, he was spared the effort of having to bear all of the shovel's weight in his hand. Bechol yom haya zehavah yarok. Every other day of the year, the gold of the shovel was yellow. Vayom adom. But on this day, it was red. Divrei Rabbi Menachem. These are the words of Rabbi Menachem. Now, red gold was the most expensive type and was therefore used on this special occasion. Even the shovel used on Yom Kippur for the twice daily Ketoret offering was made of red gold. Since this shovel had to be the same as the one used for the special Yom Kippur offering in every other aspect, gold, volume, weight, length of handle, it was also made of the same type of gold. The Mishnah now differentiates between the special Ketoret offering of Yom Kippur and all the twice daily Ketoret offerings, including those brought in Yom Kippur. Bechol yom makriv peras b'shachrit ufras ben arbaim. Every day of the year, half a maneh, which is a maneh is a measure of weight, half a maneh of Ktoret was offered in the morning and half a maneh in the afternoon. Vayom mosif meloch ufna, but on this day the Kohen Gadol added his handfuls of Ktoret, meaning the extra offering of Ktoret, which was added to the temple service in Yom Kippur, consisted of 2 handfuls of Ktoret. The Kohen Gadol cupped his hands together and used them to scoop the Ktoret out of its container, as we'll see in chapter 5, Mishnah 1. Bechol yom hayta daka, every day of the year the Ktoret was of a fine consistency, as the Torah requires in Sefer Shemot chapter 30, pasuk 36. Vayom dakem min hadaka, but the special Ktoret brought on this day was the finest of the fine. It is derived from the Torah that the special Ktoret Yom Kippur must be even finer than the regular Ktoret. Therefore, after all the Ktoret for the year was ground once, the amount needed for Yom Kippur was put back in the mortar, the bowl for grinding, and ground a second time. And that is in Rabotav Mishnah Daled. Mishnah he continues, having listed differences between Yom Kippur and the rest of the year with respect to the Ktoret. The Mishnah notes differences between Yom Kippur and the rest of the year regarding other temple activities. Bechol yom kohanim olin b'mizacho shen kevesh ve'odin b'ma'aravo. Every other day of the year, the Kohanim, including the Kohen Gadol who performed services in the altar, went up the eastern side of the ramp and went down the western side. Whenever someone performing a service in the temple doing any mitzvah has to turn, the rule is that he should turn to his right. Since the ramp is to the south of the altar, one who goes up the ramp faces north. Therefore, when he reaches the top, he must turn eastward, since the east is to his right. The Kohanim therefore went up the eastern side of the ramp, for if they would take the western side, they would have to cross the width of the ramp when they turned right at the top, and it is improper to needlessly cross the ramp of God's altar. Wherever you can see the diagram brought down, it's elucidated note, or any other illustrated Mishnah, we'll be able to visualize the ramp and the altar in its positions. Vayom Kohen Gadol ole ba'emtza v'yored ba'emtza, but on this day, the Kohen Gadol went up the center and went down the center. After going up the center of the ramp, the Kohen Gadol crossed half the ramp's width at the top to reach the eastern corner. Although crossing even part of the ramp was improper the rest of the year, the Kohen took the center of the ramp on Yom Kippur as a matter of prestige and honor. Furthermore, he showed the love that God has for his people. Since he performed the Yom Kippur service on behalf of the people, his freedom to go wherever he wants in God's temple, like a person in his family's house, demonstrates how greatly God loves his people and desires their service. Now, according to the previous Tana, only in Yom Kippur did the Kohen Gadol walk up and down the center of the ramp. However, the next Tana disagrees. Rabbi Yehuda says, La'olam Kohen Gadol le ba'emtza v'ed ba'emtza. The Kohen Gadol always went up the center and went down the center. Now, another difference between Yom Kippur and other days of the year. B'chol yom Kohen Gadol mekadesh yadav v'raglav min hakior. Every other day, the Kohen Gadol sanctified his hands and feet before serving in the temple by washing them with water from the kior like any other Kohen. V'ayom min hakiton shel zahav. But on this day, he washed his hands and feet with water from a golden flask. And here too, Rabbi Yehuda disagrees. Rabbi Yehuda says, Le'olam Kohen Gadol mekadesh yadav v'raglav min hakiton shel zahav. The Kohen Gadol always sanctified, washed his hands and feet with water from a golden flask. And that is in Rabotai today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen.